Functional vision assessment is undertaken on young people known as sensory beings. We as practitioners want to know how a young person uses their vision to the best they can. We take time to make a sequence of observations looking at how a young person would functionally use vision in either tracking or fixating or locating an object or maybe a person. It supports them in maximising the use of their vision. That's the results that support the young person. You note whether the young person does have a diagnosis of visual impairment or if they're registered blind. The concept might be those children can't see. However, we as practitioners know that there is good use of that vision that they have. We want to find out what they can do so that we can facilitate learning for them. Here is a number of teaching points that can help. Always remember, if the child has glasses, make sure they're on and they're clean. Remember that objects can be tracked horizontally or vertically or in and out. We know tracking is likely to occur most reliably with familiar and high contrast motivating objects. Make sure you've got those at hand. If a learner needs objects at a very specific distance in order to find and locate them, you will need to move the object in an arc shape to enable the young person to track it vertically or horizontally. Always think about the speed the object is moving. Reduce this to allow the learner to keep following it. Or, if you note that they fixate on a moving, fast object, then do this.
So for me as a teacher, it's really beneficial to know where our students' optimal functional vision is. It aids me in using strategies when I'm presenting different objects and stimuli to them within their learning. So using those strategies gives our students the best opportunity to use their functional vision. So Indy is a 14-year-old young lady in my class. She is a very happy, smiley girl, very cheeky. With regards to Indy's vision, she has quite a set posture. So Indy spends a lot of her time with her head position upwards. So her vision is going up towards the ceiling. I have, from working closely with Indy and offering resources to her, I have a perception of where Indy's visual field is. And I think that her optimum is kind of up and to her left. So carrying out the functional visual assessment on Indiana will confirm where her optimal functional vision is, and that will help me to guide her and teach her and use different strategies.
Observe without stimulation. Step 2. Pupils react to light. Pupils have reacted to light. Well done, Indy. All your pupils, they got nice and big. Blink, reflex. Well done. You got that, Anna?
Yeah.
We have pre-intentional learners, and for those using their vision and their eyesight, we're looking at visual awareness. If they go into a darkened room, are they able to locate a light source? We're also looking at visual attention. If you place a motivating object and you give that verbal encouragement, is the young person able to fix his or her eyes on that bright object? And we're looking at different distances, 5 centimetres away, 10 centimetres away. Not just doing this task once, but through a number of days and occasions, so we really get to see what motivates the young person to look well. Good looking. We know there's specific colours that really will hold that visual look. The colour red. We notice if the child, when presented with a red torch, will actually focus their attention on that colour. Will they track? Will they fleetingly look to find that red colour? It's really important for those young people that are intentional in their way of learning to note how they actually respond in face-to-face scenarios. Finding that person, holding that eye gaze, and actually engaging in communication with them is part of the way they use their vision. For the intentional learner and the concept of tracking, remember that objects can be tracked horizontally or vertically, in and out. Tracking is likely to occur reliably with familiar and high contrast motivating objects. If a learner needs objects at a very specific distance in order to fixate on them, you will need to move the object in an arc to enable them to track. As a practitioner, we must think about the speed the object is moving. Reduce this to allow the learner to keep following it. On occasions, you will find that a learner is able to see a moving object better than a stilled one. This is due often to the way it triggers those pathways from their eye to their brain to see the object. I've been a qualified teacher of the visually impaired since, I don't know, a long time. I've worked with children with visual impairments and those diagnosed blind for over 10 years. What I found personally rewarding through this project is seeing how other staff are taking and listening those little ideas on board that can therefore make the child use their vision in a better and more productive manner and more meaningful for them. Being inspirational, working alongside the communication and language literacy lead, who has really developed her understanding of vision and can see this by how the young person in our case study, Indy, has really flourished in the way that she's looking up and locating those lights in her field of vision. Of course, Anna knew where the best position was, but it was that protected time to see how her reflex of blink, her ability to track, her ability to turn her head, has now pushed Indy further into her learning journey, not just against vision, but against all of the skill areas that sit within impacts.
The functional visual assessment for Indy was successful. It gave me lots of information that I was hoping for. Some of the things that I observed and that happened were as expected, and a couple of things happened that I wasn't expecting, so it was really very interesting. The things that happened during the FEA that I was expecting to see were that Indy's perceived visual field was where I had expected it to be, just based on my observations within the classroom. And also that Indy is very strong. She's got really strong visual awareness, visual attention, and visual fixation. What I wasn't prepared for was the fact that Indy has really strong tracking skills, but on a vertical plane rather than on the horizontal. So that was also really interesting. The other thing that I wasn't expecting, just based on my observations from Indy within the classroom, was actually how strong her eye contact is. Her eye contact was really, really strong when I was looking at her.
In September 2024, the school made a decision to revisit the impact strand area of vision. We took this journey forward through training, inset, and time with students with that particular focus to know what they can functionally see in different environments. The process has been rewarding for me as a qualified teacher of the visually impaired, but now we need to outreach ourselves and do this for all the young people across the school. This year's project has been the start of re-looking at vision. It won't be named as such on a school development plan next year. We're going to look at intensive interaction. But what we are doing is making sure that we do full implementation of functional vision assessments so that we know it's embedded and this change becomes part of school culture, and vision is a high priority for all our teaching staff and for all of those young people to functionally use their vision the best they can.